If you're a Sanji fan, then you definitely had a great time reading this week's chapter. What is up, y'all? My name is Sai, and welcome back to One Piece chapter 1034. And this time, Oda did not beat around the bush. He literally just labeled this Sanji versus Queen. And oh boy, did we get some Sanji versus Queen this week. So before I talk about all of that, I'm gonna talk about Osume in the beginning portions of the chapter. So first off, we officially get the name of the geisha that Sanji presumably hit a couple chapters ago. That geisha's name is Osume, and we realize the reason why she's still out here and about, and that's because she's looking for a mouse named Chujin, which I think is a really weird subplot. Like, imagine you're a geisha and you were brought to Onigashima to have some fun with some beast pirates, and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. You have the Straw Hats attacking, samurai attacking, and the beast pirates are going sicko mode in their devil fruit forms. It is a all-out war going on. And then your main concern isn't, oh my gosh, I should get away from here. It's, I should go look for this mouse. It's a very funny subplot. I feel like Oda kind of ham-fisted it in there just to give her some development and to give Sanji back his dignity, because later on in the chapter, we find out that Sanji isn't the one that hurt her. So if you manage to put the giant puzzle pieces together, you can easily figure out that Queen was the one who attacked Osume a couple chapters ago. It was not Sanji. And as an audience, we can put this together because in Queen's inner monologue, he actually says, "You received my first divine punishment, you're about to get another one." But from Sanji's point of view, all he saw was Queen slowly walking towards her, and he was like, oh, it was definitely him. It was not me. I knew I did not touch that girl. I think I speak for a majority of the One Piece fan base when I say that we all kind of agreed that Sanji most likely did not hit that girl. And people were making speculations that Queen was the one who actually attacked her, but we didn't know how. Beforehand, the main assumption was that Queen shot a laser beam at her, and for some reason Sanji took the blame, even though he doesn't have any laser beam properties. But now that we learned that Queen can go invisible, it makes all the more sense, and we even see a little flash of how it actually happened. I do think it's a little bit goofy once you see the visuals that Sanji has in his mind, where you see Sanji standing above her, and you can see the little bubble where she actually gets attacked. Or, you know, like by invisible Queen. And at that moment, I'm just like, wait, why did Queen attack Osume and not Sanji, who has his back turned towards him? I know that Queen was looking for the raid suit and he wanted Sanji to put it on, but it doesn't really excuse the fact that out of nowhere during this battle, Queen was like, oh my god, it's Osume. She denied all my advances and she kept on saying she was sick, and she's not sick. I gotta hit her up real quick. But even though it is revealed that Sanji didn't hit her, I feel like this still has major implications for the future of Sanji's character development, because even after he figures this out, his eyebrows are still swirling the same way as his brothers. And not to mention, the promise that he made with Zoro about, hey, if I change, I need you to kill me after we're done fighting here. I feel like Oda wouldn't just have him say such a heavy line and something wouldn't come out of it. So even though we don't see the changes right now in Sanji's character, I feel like later on, whether it be at the end of Onigashima or the start of the next arc, I feel like he will become more like his brothers. Alright, so before we continue on to more Sanji and Queen related topics, I want to move towards Momonosuke because he does have a little spot to shine in this chapter. So he comes to the revelation that he cannot make flame clouds as great as Kaido's, but what he can do is manipulate Kaido's flame clouds, which is something a lot of people speculated beforehand, but we didn't know if the clouds were correlated to just Kaido's devil fruit or not. In this chapter, it's confirmed that they're not, and that Momonosuke can actually start swaying them. In this chapter, he doesn't have full control of them, but he's starting to get a good grasp of it. And with that being said, it opens the huge realm of possibilities as to what can happen with Onigashima. Because previous to this chapter, the only option was to stop the clouds or to create his own and bring it away from the capital. But now that Momonosuke can potentially change the direction of the clouds, it now becomes a question of where would you put it? Personally, I think the best way for this all to be handled is for Momonosuke to slightly deviate course and take it eastwards towards the desert portion of Wano. If he drops it there, there's a good chance that no one will be injured by the crash. Or if Momonosuke can muster the strength for it, I'd argue that he should just drop it outside of the waterfall in general. And I know it does sound crazy to drop Onigashima off to the bottom of the waterfall, but if that did happen, if it crashes, it burns, and if it explodes, nobody in Wano would be impacted by that. And in the best case scenario, if everybody were to flee Onigashima before that happened, everybody would be safe. And not to mention, if it's dropped at the bottom of the waterfall, that is also where the secret entrance towards Wano is. If you remember when Apu and the numbers first came to Wano, Orochi actually mentioned that there was a secret entrance at the bottom of the waterfall that would open up and act as an elevator that would bring them up towards Wano. If Wano wants to be a free country, it needs to have some sort of easy access point for people outside of Wano to come into Wano. And what better way, what better marker than to have a giant skull with a hole in it showing you, hey, this is where the secret entrance dash elevator is. That just makes the most sense to me. And not to mention, that would tie in and wrap up Wano's open the borders within the raid as well. And if you look at the skull, it has those giant horns to represent an Oni, but at the same time, that would be the perfect thing to kind of separate the waterfall as well. So I feel like it was kind of made for this. Alright, so now let us jump into the fire literally with Sanji versus Queen. I touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the chapter talking about how Queen was the one who hurt Osume, but we're gonna dive deeper into it. So, the beginning of the chapter, we see something very, very interesting. We see Queen use laser beams out of his eyes, but it's very reminiscent to Ichiji's sparking red. Sanji doesn't even know what it is quite yet. He's looking at it and he's like, wow, this is giving me a lot of bad flashbacks, PTSD about my family. And that's when Queen goes with his Henry Queen, which is very reminiscent of Niji's Henry Blazer. And then he goes on to use Yonji's winch, which I really don't think there's anything unique about the winch. It's literally just a claw that grabs him. Queen could have done that with his hands, but he wanted to show off that Germa technology. And then that is when he confirms that, hey, I didn't really want to see a raid suit all that much. I knew what it could do. I just wanted to destroy it so I can prove to Judge that I am the perfect culmination of Germa techniques, that my technology surpasses yours, which he has a total giant ego going on here, which I am going to argue that is why this fight is not over. All right, so hear me out. Oda might have been foreshadowing something about Queen from the very beginning of the arc. So in the beginning, he mentioned that he worked with a team of scientists to develop something named MADS. We don't know what MADS is quite yet, but we do know the scientist that he worked with. It was himself, Vegapunk, Caesar, and Judge Vinsmoke. You might be wondering why I named off these scientists, and that goes back to what I said earlier. Queen is a very competitive guy. At the beginning of the arc, Queen shot off a chilling gas to create Ice Oni. It spread like a virus from one person to another, very much like what Caesar Clown could do with his poisonous gas. And then, during his fight with Sanji, when he transforms into his hybrid form, we see his genetically modified body. He has mechanical body parts popping in and out of his body, and that very much represents his technology. And in this chapter, he shoots off Germa tech. He shows Ichiji, Niji, Yonji, he shows all of their abilities. And what is missing? What's missing is Vegapunk's technology. Being a competitive guy like Queen, he would know what Vegapunk's working on, and he would want to make a better version of that to show that he is the better scientist. That is what he has been doing throughout all of his fights. Throughout this entire fight, we did not get one single hint or mention of Vegapunk's technology, and that's why I'm saying the fight is not over. It is not that easy to take down a second Yonko Commander like Queen, especially with Sanji going mid-diff to him. Sanji didn't struggle. If you read last chapter, Zoro was struggling. Yes, that's because King is a lot stronger, but Queen is no joke as well. Sanji should not have a mid-difficult fight with Queen, and people are making the comparison to the Jabra fight back in Eni's lobby, saying, oh, Jabra fight and Queen fight, they're about the same length, so it would make sense if this fight was over during this chapter, but no. There is no way Sanji defeated a second Yonko Commander this easily. Queen has shown time and time again that he's a crazy scientist. He can do so many things with his technology, so I would be shocked if he wasn't either an awakened Zoan to just recover naturally, or if he didn't have some sort of medicine to just recover himself as well. So with that being said, I feel like this fight isn't over yet. And not to mention, I think Sanji still has a good room to grow during this fight, whether it be his character and learning that he is actually a part of the Germa heritage, or just the fact that he just learned this chapter how to use his exoskeleton along with his armament haki. So I feel like Sanji has such a good amount of room to grow during this fight, and we just haven't reached that peak yet. And also, knowing Oda, he would probably want to wrap up Queen and King in the same chapter. As a Zoro and Sanji fan, I think there would be nothing better to show their rivalry and to just show that they are the wings of the Pirate King than to have a double page spread where they both get defeated. So right here, I do not believe Queen is KO'd. Alright, so last up, I want to talk about some Sanji feats because we see some insane things during this chapter. So first off, normally I wouldn't mention it, but Sanji takes a couple of big hits during this chapter, and because of his exoskeleton, he is walking around like nobody's business. He's walking around like he is unfazed by Queen's attacks. I wonder if he'll ever catch up to him, because with his exoskeleton being so freaking durable that it can take a sword, it can take being smashed into walls, and Sanji's a-okay, or maybe not a-okay, but he is okay, that I wonder if there's some sort of downside to that exoskeleton, or I wonder if Queen has an ability that would put some serious damage on him. So first up, exoskeleton, A+, it is a top tier upgrade. Next up, Sanji's speed. I don't know how the exoskeleton somehow increased this speed, but it did. He is so fast, he actually seems invisible. Like, this man isn't walking or running in place. He's actually zip-zapping around, and Queen could not find him. Sanji is moving so quick that Queen could not catch up to him. And with that insane speed boost he got during this chapter, plus the fact that he has an exoskeleton and he can burn his leg a lot hotter, I wonder if that's the reason why he got the white lightning at the very end. Because if you look closely, when he activates IFRIT JAMBE, which I think is an amazing freaking name, he has white lightning coming out of his fire kick. And I looked at it and, you know, obviously it's not COC, because COC is black. So this is not King's Haki. This is something different. And I'm wondering, is this because Sanji's moving at very fast speeds? Is this Oda maybe showing us that, oh, he's using Armament Haki and, you know, like, since you can't see it, I'm gonna draw lightning instead? Or is this potentially Niji's ability? With Sanji being a Vinsmoke and that suit having some weird alterations on his body, I wouldn't be too surprised if he actually did get some of Niji and Ichiji and Reiji and Yonji's genes. Maybe he can use their abilities later on in fights. That could leave room for potential future power-ups. But this could be Sanji's way of saying, oh, I don't need Vinsmoke's power-ups, and it could be his own lightning that I said was created due to his high speed and fire. So during this chapter, like I said, Sanji was moving so fast, he actually turned invisible. And his raid suit, its main purpose was to make Sanji invisible. I feel like this is Oda's poetic way of saying Sanji doesn't need his family to get these abilities because he can do it himself. So what if Sanji actually created that Niji lightning from his own abilities as well, and it had nothing to do with Germa technology? I think that'd be very poetic, saying that Sanji can do everything that his family can do, but better and without their technology. That would be a one-up for his family, and that would be a one-up for Queen. But also, it wouldn't make too much sense on how he would generate Reiji's poison or Yonji's crazy grip, but it's still a cool theory to have. Also, it could be argued that his exoskeleton, which, you know, was given to him via his family, is a huge factor to play as well. Little to say though, needless to say, I'm still a huge advocate that eventually Sanji will get Black Flames to become Black Leg Sanji, but that's just me. I keep on throwing that every time we have a Sanji chapter, but I'm a huge advocate for Black Flames. Alright, so two small things before I end this video. I'm gonna use these as counter arguments because I can already see some comments kind of arguing with these points that I had. But first up, I mentioned that Sanji might still be, you know, an emotionless guy later down the road. And you might say, oh, but Sanji didn't hurt that girl. Why would that be the case? That doesn't change the fact that he still has some of Germa's blood within him, and that doesn't change the fact that his eyebrows are still reversed. You can see it in the end of the chapter. Even though he figures out that Osume was not harmed by him, his eyebrows are still swirling the wrong direction. Second up, when Sanji activates IFRIT JAMBE, that's when the lightning first comes out of his leg. So you could argue, oh, Sai, he wasn't moving at super fast speeds when he activated the lightning. But I would counter argue and say that the reason why Sanji's leg catches on fire in the first place is because he spins his leg super fast, so fast that we don't even see it, to where it would create the fire. So if he just spins it even faster, that could also create the lightning as well. So with that being said, there's still room to theorize on how Sanji got that lightning. Was it armament haki combined with the fire? Was it him moving at even faster speeds? Is it Germa blood creating that lightning? We don't know quite yet. And honestly, even if I get it wrong, I don't really care. It's cool either way. It is a huge win for Sanji. And I like this fight a lot, but I want Sanji to struggle more. Going from last chapter where Zoro was getting his butt handed to him, and he had to gather his swords and finally get back up, and he's still losing to an extent, to this chapter where Sanji is, putting up a really good fight against Queen. It's like, it's an equal fight. Seeing this chapter, I wish Sanji would struggle more because we don't get these fights often. I want to savor it for as long as I can. And that's why I really want to believe that Queen has some hidden Vegapunk technology that he has not shown us yet. And with that being said, y'all, what do you guys think about the chapter? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you love Sanji? Are you happy for this giant W? Or no, do you think he doesn't deserve this and that he should have a more difficult fight, or that he doesn't deserve some of these upgrades? And let me know what you think about the theory about Momonosuke potentially dropping it at the base of Wano, thus creating an entrance at the basin of the waterfall. Do you think that's plausible? Do you think I'm crazy? Or do you think it's more realistic that he drops it in the desert where nobody would get harmed except for the people on Onigashima? What do you guys think? There is a break next week, so there's no video next week. But with that being said, y'all, my name is Sai. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I read every single comment. There are no exceptions. I read every single one. If you guys add it at me directly, I will respond. And other than that, I just love hearing you guys theorize about it. I love seeing you guys talk and comment and like some comments as well. I was thinking about making a YouTube video based off of your guys' theories because some of you guys put a lot of time into those comments. Literally, I think every video, there's at least 2 or 3 people who leave long comments theorizing the future of One Piece and what's happening during this chapter. And I feel like I almost want to make a video just based around reading those comments and adding to it. So anyways, personally, I think this was an amazing chapter. I love the way Sanji fights. It doesn't really translate well to a manga, but when the anime hits this fight, we all know it's going to be absolute fire. It's going to be IFRIT JAMBE, man, I swear. So anyways, y'all, my name is Sai. See you guys next time, and thanks for watching. Peace.